This is Uncle Ron and stuff, and today we have a guest speaker. This is
Yay.
my granddaughter, only granddaughter,
Livi.
Livy, who is visiting from foreign country. Yeah, she lives in another part of
Far,
Virginia.
far, far away.
Far, yeah. She's not.
In a
She,
galaxy far, far away.
yeah. She beamed in here yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yesterday.
she
Yeah.
beamed in here yesterday, and it's a great honor to have her here because she is going to talk about a very important subject. It's time to do
Therapy.
therapy sessions, and a lot of people go to therapy. I went to therapy for 5 years; it was totally worthless. But she's going to therapy, and it's
Yeah, it's been
been
awesome. It's been very,
awesome
very
and
beneficial.
beneficial. But there are tricks to it. The things that
Yeah.
she's now learned that helps, and five, four, three, two, one. Take it away, Livy.
Okay, so first of all, when you're doing therapy, if your therapist is not actively asking you questions to dig deeper into the opinions and feelings that you have about your everyday things, like if they're asking you, "Oh, how was your day?" and then you explain your day, and then they are just like, "Mm-hmm, yeah, cool." Like you can have a cheerleader, and your friends can be cheerleaders for you, but your therapist needs to be somebody who digs deeper into the
Yeah,
subjects
but
that you're
what kind of
placing on
questions
the
would a
table.
therapist ask you that would help?
Basically,
They're not saying, "Well,
asking
what did you wear?" What did they ask?
asking how you feel about certain things
But
and
what if you
how.
say, "I don't feel anything"?
Well, if you don't feel anything, then they're probably going to ask, why do you not feel anything? And if you don't know, then they're going to ask, what do you think it is? And if you
Well,
don't.
you have labels for all your feelings. Have been able to identify and say, "Oh, that's dread," or "Oh, that's anxiety." Do you already know and have all those labeled?
I mean, I don't really have labels, but I can know when my feelings are negative and when my feelings are positive. So
Oh, that's base level. Yeah, that's
yeah, so
up or
that way,
down.
because that way, if I'm talking to my therapist
Up.
and I'm like, and she asks me
Are
if
you
I'm
up or
like,
are you down?
oh yeah, because she asks me how she starts out every session is, what are your hypes and gripes for
What is
the
it?
hypes and gripes?
Hypes and gripes?
Yeah, so it's
What's a
hypes,
hype?
which are high points, like
Oh,
happy moments,
okay.
things that you really enjoyed over the past uh couple weeks that we hadn't seen each other because we do it every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then gripes are like things like bad things that happen that you're really upset about
All right.
or you feel bad about.
That's a
So
good starting
yeah,
place,
so
isn't it?
you
Yeah.
just find um if you have a hype that is minimal, that's totally fine. If you have a
Hypes
gripe
and
that's
gripes.
minimal, yeah.
Okay. Hypes and
So
gripes.
so that's how she starts it out every
But
time.
do you think about them in advance, going prepared with your hypes and gripes?
Sometimes I do, yeah.
Okay.
And it does help because I can walk in and be prepared for the questions
Does
that
she
she's
ever
gonna ask me.
dismiss your hypes or your gripes as being trivial or anything?
No,
No.
she always is like, well, that's awesome for hypes. Uh, what else did you do, or ask me to elaborate. And then if for gripes, she'll dig deeper onto why I didn't like the situation, or why I was uncomfortable, or why I was
Usually you talk
whatever
about the
I felt.
gripes more than the hypes, right?
Yes,
No or not?
usually I do talk about the gripes more than the hypes, just
Okay.
because that's my problems that I need to be
Yeah.
solving, so I need to be working on.
So,
um
is it gripes? What are your gripes? Because people didn't do what you want them to do?
no, usually it's sometimes it's oh, my friends got into an argument or something like that. Like somebody did something that I didn't like, or but sometimes it's I have been really antisocial or something like that. Then I have my own issues that I'm really upset with myself, and it's internal. So that way I can talk about it and we can figure out maybe a way to fix it or a way to work on the issues that are causing me stress and causing me anxiety. So
And uh, so most times is the gripes about you or gripes about other people?
A lot of the time the gripes are about outside situations that are happening.
Ah, okay.
So it's not it doesn't necessarily have to be about people, but it's a lot of the time it's about like stuff that happened or like, negative things that just affected me in like a negative
Well,
way.
I can't imagine a world where there's negative things. Well, well, how
I
could it be what could be in with your age? What could be a negative thing?
mm,
Like somebody. Give me an example of a negative.
um well, my friend started dating someone who's really not good for them.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, but that's your opinion,
So,
isn't it?
well, it's my opinion, but
You
it's
don't have
also
any
like
jealousies involved in it, do you?
no.
You're clean
Um,
on that. You know that part so good.
yeah, I know that part's good. I like it's just like they started dating this person that has a history of not being very considerate in with partners. And it's just like it's gotten like I'm concerned that something's gonna go bad.
So, but how can you fix it?
I mean, usually my we if in that type of situation, I
What does
would
your
talk to my
therapist say?
therapist,
What does she
and
suggest?
she would most likely suggest because I haven't talked to her about it in this in particular, but she would most likely suggest that I work on maybe like how to step back from the situation and like kind of not put it all on myself to fix it and
Yeah,
allow whatever's going to happen
yeah,
so that like I am more because the biggest thing that we're working on right now is uh like caring about like myself
yeah.
and when like and being cuz I am like I tend to put other people before myself a lot and I don't mean to be like tooting my own horn or anything. I it's genuinely like a problem sometimes that like and I kind of forget to take care of myself.
Speak a little
Um
louder. Make sure he catches it.
oh yeah. I kind of forget to take care of myself sometimes.
Well,
So I'm working towards like
does that mean that you uh, are you one of those mother figures or something where you feel these other people you uh, uh, what do you do that's negative that impacts you negatively out of like the friend dating and it's not a good match in your opinion and I understand you say well I know I really can't fix it but and you put yourself down because you really can't fix it or you
yeah, I get upset like I take it like as a personal fault that
oh
I can't do
it's an
anything to
insult
help.
an insult
It's not an insult. It's a personal fault.
oh
Like something
a
that
failure in your part
yeah, so like I feel like
and what would your
I
therapist
can't
say
she would say to think about myself in the situation and focus more on the fact that I've done all I can. I've talked to this person about it and they've heard me out. They've like listened to me. Um and there's not really much else I can do. So other than to be there if things do go bad.
why do
Um
you feel like you have to? Why do you even feel like you're in control of the situation to be able to fix it? Why do you feel like that?
I because I know um I know more about this person than I feel like the person that my friend is dating than I feel like my friend does like when it comes to the negative side of things.
Oh, okay.
And my opinion on them is more neutral.
Uh,
So it's like I feel like it's I feel like it's easier for me to judge.
So,
Um,
at your age, and is this a common thing that you find your friends do with each other? They have opinions about matches and matchups, and that they do try to intervene and say, no, it's not really good, or do they all do that?
I mean, some of my friends, like it depends on who's dating who.
Okay.
If somebody's dating somebody that is very obviously like not a great person to date, and they just aren't working out, like, and it's continually a problem, like that's why I'm not really intervening too much in this relationship because it hasn't visibly been a problem too much
Oh,
yet.
okay.
So like I'm just like kind of letting it do its thing, and like we'll see where it goes. And honestly, I hope it goes well. Like I want to be as positive as possible, so I hope it goes well.
Okay.
But
But back on it, somehow or another, this makes you feel bad about yourself.
sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes it just makes me feel bad in general, like worried about my friend.
Okay.
Um yeah, it's so that's why it would be a gripe, just because I would be worried about them. Um
And that anxiety is you carry it around.
I do sometimes. I,
Has the therapist got any tricks for dealing with anxiety?
honestly, just really like working on actually like thinking a different way. I think for me, what really helps is like coming up with an immediate plan for the future, like
Uh,
tailored to the situation. So if like
oh,
if I'm in a certain situation that I don't like and I talk to her about it, and she'll like be like, "Well, what do you think you should do in this situation?" And then I like usually I'll come up with something, but if I don't know, then she'll talk me through it and be like, "Well, maybe you should try this."
oh.
And then we work through that. So,
She will suggest. What does she suggest? A method,
yeah, so
or have you ever thought about this or something like that?
like more less like you should do this and more like you ever thought about this, maybe you could try this. So it's less of like a
She never told you to divorce anybody yet.
no.
Okay. No,
She hasn't
I
told me to break up with anybody.
she never
um
told you that to break up with anybody.
she's always told me to focus on like positives and trying to like make things work as much as possible.
Yeah.
um I did tell her about one of my ex friends being really bad for me,
Yeah.
and like how I didn't really want to hang out with him anymore.
Yeah.
And she did recommend for me not to talk to him anymore,
Yeah.
because of like my mental health and like how
He
taxing
was
he was.
impacting you. The relationship was impacting you negatively, either
Yes.
from your perspective or his or whatever. The combination was not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was no blame laid. It
It wasn't like
wasn't him or wasn't you. It was
no, just a bad mix.
just a
Yeah.
bad thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And
So
so, could she did tell you she didn't think it was a good idea to continue?
yeah,
Yeah.
she told me it was a bad idea. Of course, right after that therapy session, the first thing I did was call him and be like, "Let's go hang out." So,
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well,
sometimes it works, sometimes
All
it
right,
doesn't.
but you didn't take it as a therapist's commandment, right?
No,
No.
no, it was more of a suggestion.
Yeah.
Um, and I eventually did follow that suggestion.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because my therapist told me to,
Yeah.
but because so many different people kept telling me like this is such a bad situation, like you're
You couldn't
in a
see it
really
yourself, though.
uncomfortable. I could see it myself, but I just like kept thinking I could figure out how to help him.
How
It was
how
more
to
of a
help
like
him,
how to fix him,
how
that
to
type
help
of
and fix him.
situation.
Why do you have to help
Um
and fix people?
I don't know. I
I
don't really
don't
know.
know.
Well, for him,
Why don't you
he
help and
if
fix yourself?
for okay for I need to do that, but for him, he needs to work on himself. He
Yeah, but
really
that's his
does,
problem.
and that is his problem.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized from
So
talking to
she
my
go to
friends.
therapy?
And no, he went to therapy, but then the therapist dropped him because he kept lying.
Oh,
So
you have to tell the truth in therapy?
yeah,
You do?
yeah.
Come
In
on,
order for it to
you've
work, yeah.
lied to your therapist.
No,
No?
no.
You've admitted stuff in therapy.
I've admitted stuff in
Yeah,
therapy.
you've admitted
Mhm.
stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've
Uh, she ever catch you on a admit?
uh she
she knows.
hasn't caught me yet, but she
Well,
will ask questions. Like she'll
yeah,
target me, like target questions that are like kind of picking at things that I hadn't talked about for a while.
yeah.
So like she'll be like, "Hey, by the way, have you done this in a while?" And then I'll be like, "Whoop,
Oh,
whoop,
oh. What do you mean?
whoopsie."
Whoop, whoop. What does that mean?
It
You're not
means,
gonna talk about it?
yeah, I did it,
Oh, yeah,
and then I
you
had to
did it.
tell, and then I had
Oh,
to tell
oh,
her,
yeah.
and I
Have you
was
done
like,
that? Oh, oh,
"Yup, I've done
yeah.
that."
It is. I have to admit, it's embarrassing when you have a pole stripping granddaughter. Hey, it,
I do not do that.
I thought that's what she was talking about. I
No,
didn't.
I do not do that. I do not pull. That would be impressive, honestly.
What, a pole stripping?
Yeah, if I could do that,
You,
it would be
you,
impressive. Because
you,
I've seen videos of people pole dancing before, and like not stripping, pole dancing, and like it's impressive. Like the amount of like upper body strength that takes and lower body strength, like just
you
it's
know what
crazy.
the best birth control is in the whole world? It's a 78-year-old naked guy. That's the best. That's the best birth control there is. I'm telling you that. You see that, and you can't ever unsee it, and you don't have to worry about sex again ever.
I would
You
say the best birth control is probably a screaming, crying toddler in public.
what birth? Oh, that
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I
I'd be like, nope.
I I
Not dealing with that.
well, I used to say all the time, don't have kids. It's just all they do is they're a big resource eat, and then they grow up and say fuck you, and it's just not
Yeah.
worth it. But from an evolutionary point of view, if we don't have babies, somebody's got to have babies, or the human race just goes away
Right.
because there's no more babies.
Yeah.
Uh, in in hunting, you hunt animals to eat or whatever, not for sport. But you never kill the females. You can kill all the males you want because one male can impregnate 100 females. But if a female goes away, then you're out of luck because men can't have babies.
Right.
Okay, so it's a strange sort of, it's a weird thing that our culture has never figured out yet. The whole women thing. I mean, you got to admit that's a problem. It's just that whole, isn't it,
Like, what do you mean? Like,
the role of women in the culture. The culturally, it's still got all kind of pushes and pulls and stresses and forces on men as well as women to fit into the cultural definition of those,
gender roles?
well, whatever roles they are,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah, it is a
you ever talk
problem.
about
Yeah.
that in therapy?
Yeah, I do actually a
Yeah,
lot. Yeah,
yeah,
like the pressures to,
yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
you
do
see
what I'm.
TV ads and magazine ads, and they're painting their things and they're doing their toes and their boobs and things is,
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, and sometimes I just say like forget it, and like just
yeah,
don't care.
yeah.
Um, and like I tend to just use
Is your
like
therapist a woman?
yes.
Does she all dress up?
She I mean she does her makeup and stuff.
She does do
Um,
makeup. Yeah.
she's super pretty though. Like
Pardon?
she's gorgeous.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Oh well, I don't do well with gorgeous women. You don't have that though, right?
Nah.
No.
I tend to. I mean, I tried it. Okay. I suck at
Is she
being.
all right? Let me ask you this: or is she sexually attractive to you? Yeah. Okay. That's enough of an answer. I didn't know. I'm just
I
curious.
mean, yeah, some
Just curious.
because she's really pretty and like but
Uncle Jeff went to a therapist in New York for like 5 years, and apparently she was gorgeous.
yeah,
And I would have had a terrible time with that.
yeah,
I wouldn't. I'd have stumbled and fumbled, and probably have not told the truth a lot
yeah, that's
because it would
fair
be
because it would be
embarrassing. I
embarrassing.
have
Yeah,
a female general practitioner. For my regular doctor is a female,
right.
and I'm okay with that. I think there was over the last 5 years there was one time I was with her, and I think I got had too much testosterone when I got up that morning, and I think I played like gorilla in front of her. You know, I'm mad, just something like that. And
Yeah.
I knew I really overdid it. And I apologized to her. I mean, I
Yeah.
it it came across as me, man, you woman. It was really bad,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't know what triggered it. Well, I was concerned about a health issue, and I was, but anyway, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, but do you look at her or do you not look at her?
I look at
Do you have
her.
to make eye contact with the
I
therapist?
tend to look at myself more though, because I can see myself in the camera. So I like
Yeah,
look at
they
my
have a
face.
camera there.
It's because I'm like
Oh,
doing
zooming.
Zoom. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
do Zoom therapy
Well,
every
that would be
session. So
better. I would probably be better on
yeah,
Zoom if I was in the same room with them, and I would be smelling the pheromones and all that stuff, and that would be a real mess. You
yeah.
know, but
No, I
Zoom, you can't reach out and tweak her boob or anything
no
with Zoom. Well, no, I mean, you know,
no
it's true
I
that
yeah. It's the thoughts are less like you don't have like as many like overwhelming like
yeah, that
thoughts and
part.
stuff. Yeah,
But that's the media thing, which is interesting. You could
yeah.
say stuff to somebody on Zoom you could never say directly to their face when they're right there in front of you.
Yeah, it's
You
easier. It's definitely easier over Zoom to like
yeah,
talk
or
about
a
stuff.
text message or email.
Yeah,
You can
and it feels like less stressful too because as soon as I walk into a doctor's office, my stress level goes like up 1,000%.
a real person,
So
a real doctor.
just walking into a doctor's office, like
Yeah,
any doctor's office, it stresses me out.
yeah.
It's I don't know why. It's just
Were they
me.
all men?
Um, no, I think I've had female doctors
Yeah,
like my whole life.
yeah. Okay.
My meds guy, I forget psychiatrist
Yeah,
or
yeah. They prescribed
yeah
the meds.
yeah, so he's a guy. But he's like so nice. He's the sweetest. I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
I'm I'm really comfortable like talking with men to a certain point. Um like some like men give off like a really uncomfortable vibe sometimes.
What is it? It's
Um,
obviously sexual,
no,
or is it dominating?
it's just like the type of guy that would bully you.
Oh,
Like it
what does
I
bully mean?
like just seeing like a guy in public like a lot of times it tends to be guys like who have mullets and like are like the
Pardon?
farm
The
guys,
what?
with mullets and then like
What's the word?
mullets.
Mullets,
Yeah.
and they what you're talking about? What traditionally is called rednecks, and very
Yeah.
opinionated and not very
Yes.
open.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's uncomfortable because I
Nazis.
they tend to be very right wing leaning, which
Yeah,
is like
no,
sometimes
yeah,
very close minded
yeah.
and it tends to be very like against everything that
Well,
I
you
look
don't. You're
like,
not out
So
pushing them, are you? You're not pushing
no,
them.
no, no. I when I see somebody like that in public, like I try to walk the other direction
Yeah,
because it
right.
just makes me uncomfortable.
Well, what does your therapist have to say about that portion of the society that you're running into that bully like that? Does she give you any guidance on that?
No, just because I've never really had a problem with it. Like
Oh,
I just avoid people like that. And then
yeah.
if they do yell things at me, like sometimes people like that will yell slurs at me out their car window
Oh,
and things like that.
that's it. That's
If that happens, like I just ignore it
it.
because
It should happen more than once.
yeah, it's happened more than
Really.
once. Yeah, and it's like, but it's just like people being people, and I just kind of like once I ignore it, they're not going to do it again, because they don't get the response that they want. So it works out. It got to the point where people were cussing at me out their window so much that I had to report them to a
Were you
school
doing
resource
anything to
officer.
provoke them?
No, I was walking to school.
Okay.
And I had to report them to a school resource officer, so I took down their license plate, and they got like they weren't allowed to drive for a while because I didn't see them out.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as soon as they got their license back, they started back up again. So
Yeah.
I just wore my headphones like the whole time
Well,
home,
there's
just
a
ignored them.
attribute to this I've always wondered about. Um, I know you're feeling you certainly have every right to dress like you want, look like you want,
Yeah,
think like you want. Uh,
yeah,
but you know, in the culture, there are elements who don't like that, don't think that, and
yeah.
you know that by doing this, you're going to,
Attract
yeah,
that.
you're going to
Yeah,
potentially be you're like a flag to a bull.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
And I've experienced that before, and it's like honestly sometimes it's kind of upsetting because it's like why can't you just let people do what they want to
I
do? But it's
know.
like, but like I know people will do it, and I know it's like, and I have to be prepared for it when I walk out the door.
See,
Like,
but I bet you never thought that they're thinking to herself that, you know, she that's that's not a good relationship for her. She shouldn't go there because I know her better than she knows herself, and that she should be really. I don't know, but not that.
yeah,
You don't think that about them?
no,
No,
no.
no. But couldn't they be thinking that?
Yeah, I'm sure they're like, oh yeah, I mean, but if they were really
Well,
worried, if they really cared about me in that way,
yeah.
they wouldn't be yelling slurs out their window. That's
Well,
aggression. And
well,
that's
yeah.
like if they were really worried,
Uh,
there's other ways to do it.
no, I don't disagree. I'm
Yeah.
just I mean, you never occurred to you that they're saying, "What a waste! What a fine piece of ass that would be."
No,
You
I've
never
thought of
thought
that
that,
before.
huh?
I've thought of that before.
Yeah, I mean,
And it's I mean, well, the thing is, I it gets to a point where it's like I don't really care what they think, like
no, I
because
don't.
you know it's
How's
like
your
it's what I
therapist
want to do.
stand on that position? Because
Um,
I've for as far as well, a long time ago, I got a position. I don't care what other people think
yeah,
because I'm always going to be somebody's not going to like it.
yeah. No,
Um,
she's very like
is
she
she okay on that?
yeah she's
Uh,
very like she wants me to be who I want to be, and like she doesn't care who that is, like as long as it's healthy
yeah,
and it's something that's like
yeah, healthy.
good for me, yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's genetic or not, but I have a disposition. Things can go along, and then I think I get in a rut.
Yeah,
I get bored or something,
yeah.
and I'll start venturing farther out of the rut. And there'll be a big sign we were saying minefield ahead,
Hmm.
and I go, so what? I can get through the minefield, and I'll tiptoe through the minefield, and then there'll be a bigger sign saying edge of universe ahead. I go,
Yeah,
well, I ain't no problem. I just keep going, and
yeah,
then the slope starts getting real steep, and it's like I have to, it's like you're gonna slide off the end of the world,
yeah.
and I'll keep going.
No, I tend to try and stop myself. I have gone too far before with like
Anything,
like anything. Yeah,
anything.
I have gone too far. And I probably will continue to go too far with certain things, but
What I'm
it's
saying
like
is
learning from
I
it.
have some kind of genetic disposition for
Yeah.
self destruction.
Yeah, I know I have that too.
Okay, you
It's
have. That's what I was
yeah.
trying to verify. You
I'm
have.
working on it. That is something that I'm working on
Why
with my
we want to self
therapist.
destruct? Because out of boredom?
Yeah, I guess boredom. That I mean that's what it tends to be for me. Like I'll get bored with something and then I'll be like, this sounds interesting. Let's try this. And then I try it and I'm like, "Oh, wow, this just ruined this relationship in
Danger
my life."
ahead,
Or
danger ahead.
yeah. And so it kind of messes with like
Yeah, but the closer you get to danger, the more alive you feel, don't you?
yeah. And
Yeah,
that's the problem. And
that's
that's
the
why
problem. It's
that's yeah.
exhilaration that you. It's what you want. You want exhilaration to kill the boredom.
Yeah.
And the only way you know to get it is to go into danger zones.
And that's what I keep trying to remember to talk to my therapist about, but of course I forget every single time. But
You don't
um
write stuff down.
I
You
don't
be
write
right.
stuff
Which
down.
want to write
Yeah.
it down here while we got it here? No, you're not gonna write it
Yeah.
down. You're not gonna remember it.
I won't remember it. Yeah. All
You
I need
write
to
it over
remember.
right on your arm before you go in. Remember to talk to her about. You could put notes all over your feet and down
No,
here.
because as soon as I start like getting ready to go to therapy, I forget about everything. Like,
Oh,
because I'm like so nervous about therapy that I just
you just how did you say you're nervous about therapy?
because I'm nervous. I'm nervous because I walk in and like I'll have an idea of what I'm gonna say for the first minute, but after that, I have no idea what's gonna come out of my mouth. So
Uh,
it's all
but
like,
you allow yourself to talk, right?
oh yeah, the
And
like
she
the whole time.
provokes you.
Yeah. So I just continue going on, and I never know what I'm gonna say, and then I find out things that way. So I figure out like
Yeah,
what I think
yeah.
and how I feel and like
Like I
what
said, in my
situations
particular
bother me.
therapy case, I had to go in with an idea of something I wanted to explore,
Hmm.
and then like I say, I got somehow, well, I'll just make it like the Catholics do. They go in and confess everything, and then the sin will be cleansed away. And I'll walk out of the therapy session, and that whole sin that I've been carrying around for the last 50 years will be gone. And it didn't work like that.
Yeah.
What it did do, once you say it out loud to some other person, it
Yeah.
makes it easier to say the
To
second time
yeah.
or the third time. The confession is good for that. I did find that out.
Right. Yeah.
It's easier to say the second and third time. And the first time is hard, but
Right.
after that, but I did. What other things from your therapist do you know about that interaction with your therapist which could help new therapy people?
Ooh, I would say probably like uh whew, um think about your hypes and gripes. That's the biggest one because I know I mentioned it. I either mentioned it earlier or before we started recording, but um, it's like ups and downs. So think about like your ups and downs for the week that you haven't seen your therapist or the couple days that you haven't seen your therapist, however long you haven't seen your therapist for. Think about the ups and downs and then talk about those. And that should give you a good starting point. And if your therapist does not elaborate on those and like continue to
Have you
like
had
ask
therapists that
questions,
didn't ask enough questions?
yes, I've had many therapists that and they're all great people. Like I love all of the therapists that I've had in the past, but sometimes it just doesn't work for like mental health services because I just treat them like a friend because they don't ask questions about my emotional well-being or anything. They're just like, "Oh, okay, that's cool," like they give me the same feedback a friend would. So it's you kind of have to get to a certain point where you
So
realize
have you
this
told
isn't
this lady
working.
your most deepest, darkest secrets yet?
Um, Probably.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you even know what your deepest, darkest secrets are?
No.
Oh, God, it's an honest answer. Me neither. There is I have stuff that I don't even like looking at inside of me.
Yeah.
I mean, there is stuff in there that is so smelly and rotten, but I acknowledge it's there. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know if it's a human condition and everybody has it, and we just try to ignore it.
I think it is because
Uh,
from what I've heard, like a lot of different people, like especially from my dad's side of the family, like
yeah,
it's just like those thoughts come and then you just kind of have to like ignore them
I
and
can't
it's like
imagine. I mean, I'm aware of it. There are kids that grow up with sexually abusive parents that are gone all the time, alcoholic, drug using, irresponsible. There's all those things. There's a whole bunch of kids you grew up with. Some, not all of them. I mean, but they've probably experienced a lot of that stuff.
mhm.
I don't know how you even therapy out of that.
Yeah, it takes a long time and a lot of work, and a lot of focus and a lot of actually trying, because if you don't like put your all into it, it just doesn't work. And
Well,
like,
when
and
you,
sometimes the therapist doesn't put their all into it
well, wait
either,
a
and then
minute.
that
When
doesn't
therapy
work.
session's over,
Hmm.
you just, you don't even think about it anymore, right? You go on the next thing.
Yeah.
Well, but do you ever think about the last therapy session and go over it in your head and,
Yeah. I try and like I forget about like parts of it, like parts that make me uncomfortable, but then the parts that are things that I need to remember to like work on to be better, I do remember
She
those and I
does
do,
give
yeah.
you things to think about or work on.
Yes. Yeah. She's given me like homework and stuff before.
I've seen lectures by famous, I don't know what you call them, philosophers or self help people, and when I hear them, I'm shaking the head. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. And they'll hit a resonant note, and I go, yeah. And then when it's over, I go, but you didn't tell me how to do it. It's like
Yeah.
I need like okay, you think of this as a nail and you think of this as a hammer and you do this, and if you do that, then it changes up here and you don't think like that anymore, or you're more in tune with. They didn't give me, like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, it's like you have to like when they explain like work on feeling this way, it's like you kind of have to do whatever works for you because everybody's really different when it comes to that.
But I don't know what exercise or what. I know people who will pray. They're
Right.
praying is a good thing for them to do, and it is something they do. And
Mhm.
and there are people who meditate, get really calm and quiet in themselves, and they try to block off the whole world and just get really quiet.
Yeah.
Those sort of techniques, that's what I'm talking about. With a lot of other stuff, I guess I either don't know or are there techniques that would like help you focus on you and your own well-being. Is there some? Does she give you any idea how you do the work that you're talking
So
about?
basically, the main thing that she does for me is like whenever I start, cause I'll start like going down a spiral
Well,
of like oh like this person needs help, so I'm gonna like think about how I can best help them and blah 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 blah. And I go into therapy and I talk to her about that and she goes, "Okay, why don't we focus on ourselves? What have you been doing to help yourself during this time?"
I
And
just,
then like so you kind of have to like bring your focus back.
but there's a key word here:
Mhm.
spiral.
Yeah.
That's a key word. Once you start, and you use that word, so you obviously have known the feeling of
Yeah.
spiraling.
Yeah.
And do you also have runaway thoughts, a loop? You get loop where the
Yeah.
same thing is going around and around all the time. You can't seem to break out of the loop.
Yes.
Have you gotten any techniques to stop the spiral or
The
stop the
only
looping?
thing that has stopped that for me is medication.
Okay,
That's the only
that
thing that worked for
that
me.
um, when I got severely depressed, only medication would get me out of the hole. There
Yeah.
was no technique or anything you could do at that
Yeah.
point.
And I'm a big like advocate for medication and like that helping
Yeah,
cuz it's like any other physical
no,
condition, right? Cuz it's like you're chemically imbalanced and so it's you know,
that concept though is relatively new. I think
right.
it came about in like the early 70s. Psychiatry changed and it went in that direction and realized that a lot of these maladies were chemical imbalances in
Right.
the brain. We identified enough. But before that, there was something psychologically wrong with
Right.
you. And that made it difficult. But when they could take the blame off of you, and that's a terrible way to put it, but
Mhm.
put it on your brain chemistry,
Right.
then you didn't have to necessarily feel so bad about the person you were
Right.
because you just got screwed up brain chemistry. That's like, okay, well, I've got high blood pressure. I'll just take a medicine for it.
Right. Yeah.
But that is a relatively new psychiatric concept.
Yeah, and it's like and it's really tough for I feel like it's really tough for people who grew up like before that became a thing because like
No, it
um
was you. There was you were fit. It was you were your own problem.
yeah,
You
exactly.
were, nobody blamed but you,
So it's
and
just like
that really wasn't true. And it helped a lot when it was recognized that brain chemistry played such a big role
yeah,
in uh, I don't know what I call non-destructive behavior. That's really
right.
what it helps you do is keep away from the destructive behavior, right?
Right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that really what it helps do?
Yes. Yeah. It keeps your head from like um just
Looping or
turning towards
spiraling?
like yeah, turning
Looping and
towards
spiraling. Is there something
depression, I
else
guess.
besides looping and spiraling?
Um
Is there another term you're familiar with?
um
You know looping,
yeah, I know
and
looping.
you
I
definitely
know
know
I know
spiral because
spiraling
you
for
brought it
sure.
up.
Yeah,
So is there another one?
I would say I'm trying to think.
Looping and spiraling, and see, ever you just getting
Cycling.
cycling is like
Cycling.
looping.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cycling.
Yeah.
Oh, cycling up and down.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you have the bipolar cycle, and it's fast.
Yeah,
Day
it's
on
like
a day
well, going
basis.
through cycling like starting out with an intrusive thought and then feeling guilty about the intrusive thought and then feeling um
Oh, you're cycling so a whole bunch of feelings.
yeah, so
Oh,
it's like
oh,
cycling through a bunch
and
of
it's
negative feelings
five different
basically.
feelings or 10, or is it?
It tends to be like a cycle of like it starts out with an intrusive thought and then I feel bad about the intrusive thought and then I feel bad about feeling bad about the intrusive thought and then I uh, start thinking
Come back to the beginning,
about
do it all
the
over again?
yep, and then it just continues, and it gets worse and worse, and
You ever have them that are up like that? Or they're always just negative downs.
always negative downs,
Yeah,
intrusive thoughts. I've never had
an
a
up,
good one.
spiral up. It doesn't.
Yeah,
You don't have spiral ups. People don't do that.
I've had like where I've gotten really focused on like a certain task or a certain thing that I'm doing, and I'll be like really like I can do this, I can do this, this is something that I will
Yeah,
finish,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I can continue, and then I'll just keep going and going and
So
going until
you
like
ever
3 in the
felt
morning.
euphoria?
um I I don't really know.
Okay, where you feel really good. It's clean, bright. You just feel good. There's no
I feel like I
rhyming.
have, but it was the year before I got really depressed. So I don't really know what that means,
Oh,
but
okay, yeah,
it was like the summer before I started 7th grade when I got really, really depressed.
yeah.
So,
Well, you do understand you had all these biological changes going on.
yeah.
All this stuff kicked in. The genes started doing things.
Yeah.
You have all this biological stuff that you have to go through, and that obviously is going to throw imbalances. You, the pituitary gland secreted too much. It's got to figure out, you know. But euphoria, being high, happy. So I know you're smoking
Yeah.
marijuana. What does that do for you?
Um, I mean, it's like, it used to be really nice and like really cool and like it would make me feel like I fit in, blah, 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 blah.
Feel like what?
Like I fit in and all that stuff,
Oh, that
and
helped do that?
yeah, and like I wouldn't have to worry about what I say because I can just use the excuse, oh, I'm so high, so it doesn't matter if I make a mistake.
It gave you freedom to say
Yeah,
whatever, and you felt that they were, because they were high, they could accept it, or
like
didn't pay any attention to it, or
because I was high, I could just blame the high.
oh,
And
okay,
then yeah, so but then it got to a point where I just like stopped feeling so great like when I was high, and I was just like, why am I doing this
mm.
anymore? So I kind of slowed down. I don't do it much anymore. Of course I still do it somewhat, but it's like very rare, and every time I do it I'm like, why did I do this?
You tell your therapist you did that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
would she have a comment about that?
Yeah,
Probably not suggest to do it.
no, we're working on it. I'm working on stopping as much as I can.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
I think any psychiatrist would tell you don't, because of you're already taking
medication. Yeah,
medication. It's not a good thing to mix.
it's really not.
Although
Yeah.
my psychiatrist, I got an email from him. He said that if you want to get medical marijuana, he would sign a prescription.
Hmm.
And when I talked to him about it, I said it's kind of strange. He said, no, I have some patients that even they're on antidepressants and their anxiety medication, it still doesn't quite help them enough. So he does prescribe medical marijuana for some of his severely
Yeah.
And I can get that, but on the
Yeah, I
other
get
hand,
that.
I'm sure he would rather that I get it medical grades from him than
Then
down on
from,
the street corner.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah,
I
yeah. The biggest thing is like where the biggest thing is like being safe with it,
being safe
because
with it.
especially like for kids, like for people my age, when we're doing it like illegally. So like
Where are you getting it from?
so I used to get it from somebody who got it from an
Somebody who got,
adult
yeah,
on like the streets.
yeah,
And we didn't know who this guy was, or I'm assuming it was a guy. I have no idea. I had no connection to this person at
yeah. That's
all.
the trouble with
Um,
drugs. Yeah,
yeah, so I had no idea what I was getting into. I got like the really cheap uh, frieds, fried carts things, and they were like really cheap and really crappy and filled with like pesticides. It was found out that they had pesticides in them. So yeah, so but then now, um, I have a friend who has a friend who can get
get
stuff
medical grade
without,
stuff.
well, who can get stuff from shops without an ID.
Yeah,
So
yeah. There are. It's
um,
gotten so much better from
yeah.
that
So
perspective.
that's the only like
But you
way
did
I
tell
would
your
feel safe.
therapist about your psych. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
I told my therapist about the
How
safe,
about the
like
psychiatrist?
the psychiatrist. Yeah, I told him everything.
Yeah,
He knew everything I was doing.
yeah,
Like I told my mom everything. She knows
yeah.
everything.
You still want to
Um,
do that? You still need to do that?
yeah,
Huh, okay.
somewhat. Yeah. I mean, I try to. I'm trying to work on it because I know she doesn't want to hear it, and it's like there's not really any benefit from her hearing it. Like because I can just tell my therapist, and then like you know she can
Yeah,
figure out what the best option
she's
is.
not a trained
So
psychiatrist, and I'm sure she could sit down and start. What did you start off? You had the what was it? And
uh
the first thing was the ups. You talked about the good stuff that happened and the bad
oh,
stuff that
hypes
happened.
and gripes. Yeah.
Hypes and gripes.
Hmm.
I'm sure if you asked your mother, okay, we haven't talked in a while. What are your hypes and gripes?
Right.
She would have them both.
Yeah.
She would have
Hmm.
both, right? Yeah, she has her own hypes and grapes that she's
Right.
trying to work through. And
Yeah, and I don't want to add to that. That's
yeah, I
like that's a
understand
big.
that. It
And
it is. I think it's beneficial that
yeah.
you know. I always lean toward more information
Right.
than less.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You
Um,
know.
for sure. It's just like I feel like the more information that I give her, like the more uncomfortable it gets. So like letting her know that I'm like being safe about it.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like that's good, but
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
going to the point of telling her every time I do it is a little bit too far for
No.
her.
It's
So it's like,
I don't know. Yeah, there is some healthy communications
mm-hmm.
thing. On the other hand, um, I don't know. Uh, Anything else on therapy?
Ooh,
Big cues. We're running long, and we need to wrap this up.
ooh,
Uncle Ron and stuff. We've had Olivia,
Livy.
Livy. Sorry,
You're good.
we've had Livy talking about her therapeutic and trying to provide some.
Mm-hmm.
She's used good words, spirals and loops and cycling,
Yeah, cycling. Mm-hmm.
and being honest with the therapist,
Therapist. Yep.
and therapists should be asking
Asking
pointy
questions.
questions and help you explore and think about something.
Yeah, yeah.
And and there are good therapists. All of them are nice people, but
Mm-hmm.
only some therapists have the ability
To actually help,
to
like
exactly
to dig
help you.
into things, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I get, yeah.
talked about drugs,
Mm-hmm.
and we talked about cultural influences and
Right.
having to deal with. If it wouldn't be slurs out the window, it would be somebody pinching your bottom or
Right.
somebody trying to grope you or something.
Yeah. It's
It
just.
that's just culture. In Virginia, there's a lot of rapes. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you know that. There's a lot of rapes in Virginia.
No, I'm not surprised.
I was,
There's, yeah.
it's just, I thought we
It's been.
had made some improvement on that,
Mm-hmm.
but obviously not. Still,
Yeah.
you know,
It's very dangerous to walk
if
around.
women go through biological changes at certain ages, and men have the same problem. They go through hormonal changes, and they don't know any more how to control them than anybody else. And some of them obviously don't. You know,
Hmm.
like animals, gorillas, and that kind of stuff. But
Yes.
anyway, uh, you have a good therapist.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep. She's
and
awesome.
uh,
I love her.
and you're on medication,
Hmm.
and you do take it regularly, and you're not
Hmm.
selling it to your friends or anything.
No,
No,
no.
no, no,
I
no,
would
no,
never.
no, no, no.
My friend has some old Prozac from when he used to use Prozac, and because he got off it because it didn't help him. And I don't know why he keeps it. I don't like it. I would rather he throw
You
it away.
have you ever tried Prozac?
I have my prescription is Prozac.
Pardon?
My prescription is Prozac.
Prozac. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm on
No, I'm
I'm
on the
on
other one. I do Zoloft.
got you. My
That's
dad does Zoloft. Yeah.
Zoloft. Yeah, I do the other one. I've been on the other one. In fact, I was talking to Dad about it, and he said, "I said, well, how much you take?" He says, "I don't know." And he said he thinks it was the minimal medical. It will do something. The
Right.
minimum medical, which I think is 50 milligrams of
Hmm.
Zoloft.
Yeah. For me, it's I have 50 milligrams of Prozac, which is the highest you can go is 60. So
Oh, really?
yeah.
No, I'm taking 150 milligrams of Zoloft,
Mm.
but I've been taking it for 20 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I get that.
I actually, and I'll make a point of my own, is when I moved 6 years ago, I'd been good for a long time. And when I moved here, I thought, okay, well, it's a good chance. I've moved away from what I thought was causing a lot of stress and agitation. And it was right near Washington, D.C., the political environment just permeated everything. And people were driving around mean all the time and angry. And I
Mm.
thought, well, I'll move down here in the country. So I didn't take my Zoloft for like a year. And I did fine.
Hmm.
But then something started crumbling.
Yeah.
And so I had to go back on.
Yeah.
And now I'm just I don't even know why I thought I guess there's still after all these years there's still some naggy thing about I take a lot of pills, and
No,
as if I could
I
eliminate some of them I would do it, and
yeah.
I thought I was in a good place,
Yeah.
but it began to crumble. So now I just don't even think about it. I just take the meds, and
I've been there before.
yeah, well,
I a couple years back I was like, "Oh, it's summertime, so I shouldn't have to worry
there you
about
go. You
medication."
you
Um
I'm
and
writing a piece about being trapped.
yeah.
And one of the traps I get into is I can talk myself logically into, well, it's summertime. I won't have any stress during the summer. I really don't need the med.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes perfect logical sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's rational. It seems, but underneath of that, there is some sort of other motives.
Mhm.
And, well, like, I just don't want to buy it. I just don't want to take it. I don't want to have to remember to take it. I don't want to, all this other stuff.
Right.
But I get trapped into believing my own bullshit.
Yeah.
That's and it's all sounds rational to me.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can believe whatever I convince myself to believe, which most times is right.
Right.
It is, but not all the time, and that's what I have to watch out for. I'm always looking like after the fact. I don't trust it, so I got to keep watching it. If I do something or I think something or I try to, then I keep watching because I don't really know what impact. I mean, did I get it right or not? I really don't know that answer.
Right.
So I have to keep. You know what I'm saying there? It's
Yeah.
like because I convinced myself this was the
This is
right
the
way to
right
do it or
decision.
right way to
Yeah.
approach it. Like when I thought about coming out here and talking about you, I didn't know where it was going to go, but I think the therapy is a good idea.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
do.
No, because it's really important. It's a very important part of
Yeah,
our
and I
life
don't
for
know how
sure.
many videos are on the web, or I don't know
Yeah.
where, if anybody even looks at anything anymore, but here's one where here's someone 17 who's going to therapy that has struggled with some issues that
Mhm.
have gone through some therapists. She has one she likes now. It is beneficial. She's taking medication. You're feeling much
Mhm.
much better. Uh,
Yes.
than
For sure.
yeah.
Than I used to. And it's insane the difference because when I was a young kid and I just had a lot of anxiety, like I didn't realize that how much anxiety I exactly had. And once I started taking my meds, the anxiety disappeared and it was insane. Like the difference.
Well, let me interject a point here.
Uh-huh.
As far as I can tell, every woman I have ever known has 50 times more anxiety than I've ever had.
Mm.
I don't know if it's, I think part of it's cultural. I mean,
Yeah.
watching what you're doing. I had a friend once. She told me she went to a Ivy League college,
Mm-hmm.
like Yale, Harvard. It was like one of those. But at night, she could not walk the campus by herself
Right.
for fear she would get raped.
Oh. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
serious. This is an
No,
Ivy League school.
no, I like I can barely walk out of my neighborhood. I'm not allowed by my parents, because of like that type of situation.
As that's a situation.
Yeah,
So inherently, I just I'm being honest with that. I have don't think I've ever met a woman that I actually got to know well enough, and we were talking,
hmm
that didn't carry a lot of anxiety with them all the time. Either anxiety about their appearance, or anxiety about what other people thought about them, or their anxiety in a workplace, or anxiety about just tons of it.
yeah,
Way more than I've ever had. That's what I'm saying. Men were. I'm lucky from that perspective because I wasn't born with biologically a female, and therefore get all this
yeah,
cultural or learned or.
yeah, yeah. No, I
I
get what
mean,
you mean.
as a girl, your parents are going to tell you can't do things because it's risky. You can't
Right.
go outside your neighborhood at night by yourself.
But my brother, on the other hand,
Yeah, right. And
is
that's what I was
fine to
telling
go. Yeah.
when the girl told me she couldn't even walk an Ivy League campus in the evening by herself for fear of getting raped. I realized I've gone anywhere and done crazy shit
Yeah.
and never even thought about it.
Yeah.
I I went into the black section of Watts in Los Angeles and went to a black strip club. Now I agree, I was with somebody else who was older and knew this, and he just walked in like, yeah, I belong here, and there are all these bros, and they looked at us like, I figured we were all going to get killed. I'm
Mm.
serious. But he had this guy I was with, he had the talent, and we sat right up next to the strippers, and there was an old guy there, and my the person I was with, he started like buying drinks for the old guy. Well, the old guy was like the most senior dude
Yeah.
in the whole place.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really a good guy. I talked to him. He was a great guy, black old man. But all the young, they knew he was the king.
Mm.
They respected him. And that we got along with him, nobody ever gave us crap. But I was full of anxiety then.
Yeah.
I was way out of my comfort zone.
Oh, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, there was 50 black 20-year-old men in there, and here's a white guy coming into their place.
Mm.
I mean, that's you just. I thought we were asking for trouble, but the guy I was with, he was a lot older and a lot more mature, a lot more understanding, and he'd been there and he'd been here and done that, and
Mm-hmm.
he pulled it off. We went in, we had drinks, we sat right next to the stage and watched the black strippers, which I have to tell you, they were all terrible. They were ugly, and they did weird things. They would take and light matches and use bubble gum and have them on their nipples. It was the weirdest. I didn't understand what culture that came from. Is that an African thing? I'll throw that out there. Anybody ever seen that? I don't understand it. There's a whole lot I don't understand, but that was one of them.
Yeah.
You
I don't think that's.
this never occurred to you, right?
I I don't think that's like.
Huh?
I've never experienced anything
No, there's
like.
the, we all tend to stay in our comfort zone.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless I want to break the boredom
Right.
or the rut,
Right.
and then
Well,
I'll.
I would say in that case, like culturally, exploring other things and things that are like out of your comfort zone and that type of thing, I think that's really good. Like it's really,
It's risky.
it's, I mean, it depends on how you're experiencing it. If you're experiencing it in a respectful way or a disrespectful way, and that's really like the biggest thing is being respectful about it,
Being
and you
what?
being respectful about it, and that's like, you know,
I I
it's
thought my aura. I graduated from college. You had somebody that knew you had to write a blurb about you. It went into the final yearbook. You know, some little. This is who this guy is.
dang.
And he used words like one of the words that I think you like. He described me as harmless.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
harmless. Well, I took it as a compliment, to be honest
Right.
with you. I'm harmless, and I've always felt that. And then when I go places, I'm trying to get off. I'm harmless. I'm not
Right.
going to do harm. I'm not going to.
Yeah. Like
Well, I thought it
being
was a
non-threatening.
compliment.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have no opinions coming in. I have no animosity. I am accepting and whatever.
Yeah.
And
No, that's fair. That's fair. I get that.
but
I
it is not something that I radiate strong enough that I have not run into women or other people in weird situations and they were fearful
yeah. I'm sorry
because
about that.
they didn't sense
I mean,
that.
it's really like a big thing with like, I don't know, it's just like being on the safe side whenever, like, being afraid of like any, like, being a, like, biologically female and like having a guy come up to you, like a biologically male guy come up to you, um, who's like presenting masculinely and like very like
Pardon?
who's presenting masculinely and like very
Masculinely.
like that type of thing, um, and like if they come up to you like and say one thing that makes you suspicious, like being on the safe side is always like the best bet as a biological female, just because you never know.
I don't know what safe side means.
Like just being cautious
About what?
about like the person that you're talking to.
About what?
So
Cautious about what?
cautious about like who they are and like not knowing who they are
Are
or
you
what they're
saying
gonna
that
do.
they could take a knife out and kill you?
Yeah,
Oh, well, you
like in whatever
seriously, you
situation.
have
Yeah.
that can go that far with
Yeah,
that?
you never know. Like you
Oh,
have
okay.
no idea.
No,
So it depends on how like
and
cautious you are.
this is a function of if it's one on one and there's nobody else around. I assume it makes it way more intense.
Yes. Yeah.
If it's in a
So
crowd,
it's
you feel more
you feel
comfortable.
more comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's like I feel like
Have
that
you
it's
been
like that
put
for
in one on
everybody,
one
but
in comfortables?
um I have
You
been
know how
I
to
have
run,
been
don't you?
oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But I have been in weird situations with like my
Yeah.
ex-boyfriend's not that his dad is like a bad person at all. Like super nice dude, awesome guy. But it was weird because I had just met him.
The
And
dad.
the dad, and I walked up to my ex's house, and I was like, at the time we weren't exes, we were together, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm here to see Robin, and his dad just let me inside, like one on one, me and his dad, nobody
Yeah.
else was home,
You didn't detect he
um,
was harmless.
and I was like, I was pretty sure he was not gonna do anything, so I was
Yeah.
like not super duper stressed out. But later, I told my dad that I
Yeah.
had gone in
Yeah.
and been one on one with this guy, and my dad was like, "You don't know this guy. Why would you do that? Like, why
Yeah.
would you go in?"
Well, you must
So
have sensed something off of him. You do
it's
have to trust your senses. I mean,
yeah,
obviously he was harmless.
hmm
But I'm saying what you experience, I'm giving off harmless, but
yeah,
not all females can read it
right, yeah,
because they've had some. If they've had one bad experience, that's
right.
enough to.
It's yeah,
One
and
of
I feel like it's
the
the
girl
same
that
for a
walked
lot of
around the
people.
Ivy League campus,
Yeah,
um, and talking to her farther, she was sexually molested at 11 years old by one of her uncles.
yeah,
I don't know, that is gonna stick with you,
right,
and
yeah,
it's gonna. be built into the stereotype of what a man is. I'm just sorry, it just is. And there's
Right.
probably no way to ever get around it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, you'll never have the same trust with any man
Right.
because of a situation like that. And I
Exactly.
do understand that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's well, I think the good situations and stuff rub off on you too. I know the bad ones are definitely stronger for sure,
Yeah, the
but
bad ones are
um,
definitely stronger.
I know the good ones for sure do, and I'm sure just you talking to her and like that going well and being like understood and heard. Honestly, I would say that probably added to all of her good situations and made her a
Yeah,
little
but
bit.
I'll interject a concept
Mhm.
here, which is uh, there have been women I've met, and for whatever reason, part of their self-esteem or whatever, I don't know what it is. They, you know, they know I have feelings toward them. They have feelings toward me. They want to be sexually attractive to me.
Mhm.
I am sexually attracted to them. And then I get in this terrible situation like I cannot, because the way you think of me does not include that component.
Right.
Because if I do that, it just cements the stereotype of all men. And I can't do it. I can't do it. In some aspects, she wants me to, in some aspects, she doesn't want me to.
Right. Well, it's like you have to have that verbal communication
Well,
in
but
order
that's a
to
really
like,
tough
which
topic to
is
talk about.
it's really tough.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think in my generation, we've definitely gotten more comfortable with talking about it because
Yeah, I got that.
with all of the partners I've had, we've talked about it. Like it's one of the first things we talk about when we get into a relationship. So
It,
it's
that's the
like,
part I never. Uh, I had posted on a website years ago something about hugs. I didn't understand hugs.
yeah,
Men shake hands. That
right,
okay with that. Been doing that forever. Strong hands. There's even protocol based on that.
right,
How strong you got them a good firm handshake.
yeah,
But when it comes to hugs of women, it seemed like there was always a sexual component to it
mm.
because you are touching. When you touch someone, there is a
Yeah. I get uncomfortable sometimes with hugs, and it's
yeah, that's
like,
what I'm saying.
yeah, it. So honestly, I like when people ask me, "Are you a hugger?"
Yeah,
And then I can be like,
yeah,
yes or no, depending on the situation,
yeah.
and like,
There is a whole do it, learn it yourself about the protocols of hugs
mm-hmm.
between different sexes. I mean, I don't know. I see women come up to you, they kiss each other on the cheek and they hug each other, and I don't think there's any sexual component to that.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, I think it's my problem. But there's a touching a female. I'm stereotyped or programmed or something that
Yeah,
says that there is a sexual element to it, and I have been close to women, emotionally, mentally close, and the situation was right,
right.
but I could not do it because if I did, it would then
It would make you uncomfortable.
I no it would
You're
destroy what I thought was more important to me, that I
right.
am one of the harmless men of the world.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah. I mean,
somehow they wanted it, but at the same time, if I had done it, it would only have cemented that. Yeah, I only liked you because I wanted to fuck you.
no. I mean,
You
okay.
know what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. I think it comes down to like,
I couldn't violate the friendship that way.
yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm
I mean,
saying.
it's like it's if you see it as more than like something like just if you see a hug as more than harmless, then like that is like something that uh like expressing I'm not comfortable with that. Like it's totally fine. Like
Yeah,
cuz
yeah, no, I, you
I've
went,
had that before.
you
Yeah.
pulled it back up to the hug level. I was down at a much deeper level, and you know
Oh, okay.
that. You just don't want
Okay.
to talk about it, and I
I
understand
did
that.
not know that. Sorry.
No, it's just, and over the years, I thought about it because I beat myself up about it. I had a great opportunity. I really liked the woman. I'm married,
Yeah. Right.
but I had this opportunity. It was not the fact that I was married who
Right.
kept me from doing it. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. I could not violate what we had emotionally and mentally gotten to. I wanted to go more intimate with it, but if I had, it would have broken what we had.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
I,
feel like everybody kind of runs into that issue. Like when you're friends with somebody and you're like, I kind of want to date them, but if I do, then it's like, if it doesn't work out, or like if we do
yeah,
something and then it
but
doesn't
there's
work
the
out, then
work
it's like,
out is it wasn't going to work out. It wasn't.
right,
I mean, work out meaning I'm going to spend my life with her or something.
right,
No, that wasn't going to happen. We
right,
both knew that,
right.
but
It would make it weird.
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you don't
Yeah.
feel like this, and maybe women don't feel like this, but I do believe that you know, afterwards she would have felt, well, did he really like me, or he was just trying to get in my pants?
No, I get that. Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing is like if you continue to like spend time with her afterwards. That's the biggest thing cuz
What
up
after
until
the embassy?
yeah, cuz up until the intimacy like you're hanging out with her, like you're spending time with her, you're feeling close with her, and then you have the intimacy. If you just leave after that, then yeah, that's going to be an immediate thought of like, okay,
No, but
it was
you
just
see
for
the
this.
complication there of
Yeah.
married, you see, and
Right.
I can't. It wasn't because I was married. That was not a stop sign for me. I should have been,
Right.
and I'm being honest about it. That was not
Mhm.
why I did not. It was more I couldn't violate this friendship we had, and I didn't want to ever she had the impression that I'd been nice to her, that I'd been playing a charade or something
Right.
just to get into her pants. And fortunately, I felt like if I ever did it, that's what she would wind up thinking.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, I didn't want to destroy that for her, and I didn't want her thinking that about me.
Well, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
No, I get that.
Well, that's
Yeah.
but it's you talk to men. That's not a common. They don't even they do it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you
They
know,
just do it because they want
they
to.
do it because they can, and I'm just saying I've struggled with that over the years because
Yeah.
like one 99.99% wants me to do it. You know, it's fun,
Right. I
but
mean, it's like, yeah, caring about your partner in like in intimacy, like caring about the person that you're being intimate with and how they think about it is not
well,
something to feel
well,
bad
but
about.
we
I
all
would.
have fragile. Your being is fragile.
Right.
My being is fragile.
Hmm.
It's not hard. I think it's a sin to fuck with people and break them.
Right. Yeah. No, I think so too.
You know,
Because it's like how can you ruin someone's like have someone be very vulnerable with you and then completely betray them in that way.
yeah, I
You know,
know.
I get that.
I don't want that on my conscience.
I get
I
that.
don't.
I've
Uh,
well I've had that type of situation before. Like my ex, it was I know he wasn't doing it that way, but it was hard not to think like maybe he is because of the way that we never had like emotional conversations. It was always just physical, um, and when it came to that, it was like, do you really like me or do you just like me being physically here
yeah,
and like
as I
and it's
say,
like
I think that one of the major issues. This is going on. We need to wrap this up an hour and a half.
yeah.
We get it back. We got terribly distracted. I'm sorry, but any last parting thoughts?
Ooh, I think we're good.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one more time, this is the 29th of July
Yep.
in 2024. And Livy
Libby.
is visiting for a few days here in southern France.
Southern France.
Where we are, we're in southern France.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you
we're
can't
in
find
a
us.
universe far, far away.
Yeah, we're in a universe far, far away, and we've been talking about therapy and all kind of good stuff. And if you could stick with it, you know, I come down here and talk a lot, and what I always say is that if you're willing to shovel and move stuff out of the way and throw away the parts you don't want and you don't make any sense to you, you might find a nugget. You might find one little tiny part that is worth keeping and thinking about. And if it does that, then it scored a home run. That's just one little teeny drip. And
Yeah.
you're getting it from a real live person. This is not
Yeah.
a model. This is not a YouTube influencer. She has nothing to gain. She spilled her guts here for you, right and
Yep.
live. Yeah,
Same here.
yeah,
Same here.
yeah,
With
yeah,
this.
yeah. Yeah, that's yeah. Now we're doing it. Look at that. That is perfect. I'm going around this stuff, and I will call this one Olivia Therapy 101. How about
Yeah,
that?
I like that one. I like that.
This will be called Uncle Ron and stuff. Visiting Olivia
Mhm.
Therapy 101.
Yeah.
Okay, and now we're going to post it to YouTube for the world.
Yay.